What's going on, Kana Gang, and all of my horticulturalists out there? This is Mix, the curator of Gregarious Games, and again, welcome. So today we have a product in front of us, and you may be aware that I have been showing via YouTube and on Instagram some of the new instruments that have came my way from Vabira Lights. So this is another product that they have available now. You can find it on Amazon. In front of us, we have the VBR-C200. This is a light controller for all of your lighting needs. So essentially what this particular product does, or what it gives you the advantage of doing, it gives you the simulation, or it has the ability to give you that sunset and sunrise effect in your, introducing it into your grow space for those that do grow indoors. So in front of us here, we have the product manual, and we also have the additional products that come, or the instruments that come along with what you see here. So to our right, we have the, these are like the RJ11 cables that will be hooked up to the ports here. And this will be hooked up into the ports of your lighting system. Now, for those that are may not too familiar with Vabira Spectra, they do have a it's a 240 watt light that they produce. It's the it's from Future Horti, which is like FUTURHORTI, and it's the 2400 model, 240 watts. That particular model light does adapt very well to this light controller. Now, I use a lot more so of Mars Hydro lights in my grow setup. I do have the FC 4800, and I also have the TSL 2000 from Mars Hydro. So I did have to get in contact with Luis from Vabira Lights to give, or to so that I can be able to utilize this particular controller. He had to send me an adapter, and I'll show you what that adapter looks like now. Okay, what we have here in front of us is the adapter that I received from Vabira Lights. So this is for some of the older model lights that are from Mars Hydro. For example, the TSL 200, I'm sorry, not the TSL 200, it's the TSL 2000 that I received from Mars Hydro. That particular light I have for about two and a half years. So the driver on it may have not have been well adapted to what Vabira Light had at the moment. So that's why they sent this particular adapter. Now, what I come to find out is with my Mars Hydro FCE 4800, by that being a newer model that I purchased from them, I didn't need this particular adapter because it's more newer, and this controller here in front of us adapts without the need of this adapter. So it's something that you probably have to try first, either without the adapter that you have here in front of us, or you can just go ahead and, just to double down, you can request the adapter to be sent to you just in case, and you let them know whether you have like a Spider Farmer light, Mars Hydro, whatever it is, you would let them know in conjunction to making your purchase is what I would highly suggest. And you can definitely find them on YouTube. Just search for Vabira Lights, and you would be getting in contact with Luis. Now, back to what we have here. I'm going to go over with you all how to essentially mount this on your wall, okay, as well as setting up the necessary parameters so that you can be able to enjoy, or so that your plants more so can be able to enjoy the sunrise and sunset effect, which is basically like a gradual intensity of light till it reaches the percentage to the percentage that you want it to be within the respective time frame that your flowers or plants are in at this time. So let's go ahead and get started, right? Okay, so what we're looking at right now is the bottom part of the unit, and to our left we have a 5-volt DC port that will be essentially just go ahead and hooking this up right now. And this part right here where you see lamp, this is plugged in so that you can be able to control zone A, which is for one light, and zone B. Now, two different zones mean you can have two different timing parameters set up, which is very incredible, and I really appreciate that they have this set up this way. The other type of the VBR controller that I had, the original one that didn't have the graphic user interface, it didn't have two ports. It just only controlled one light. Well, this one has the ability to control two, and you also have the option of piggybacking. If you have like a full, grow setup with multiple lights, you can be able to kind of like daisy chain, if you understand what I'm saying in that regard. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and plug this in, if I can actually find the right port, right, the right connector. And give me just another moment, because I'm going to have to move this unit just a bit closer to the power outlet. All right, now that I've adjusted it closer, I'm plugging it in. As you can see, the Vabira logo is illuminated. All right, so now we have full power. But before we get into that, I just wanted to share with you all, in addition to receiving the master controller as well as the RJ11 cables here, you also receive not one, but you also receive two of these thermostat, or they check the temperature and like the temperature within your grow space or tent. So you receive two of those, because this unit here, this master controller, as I mentioned before, controls two different areas. So again, if you have two different tents, right, or two different growing spaces, you can be able to plug these here. For example, you would plug this jack into here to get the temperature. And so in just a moment, the temperature is going to come up. So right now, as you see in column A, which we're in column A here, right, it's at 78 degrees Fahrenheit. So just a bit warm in here. And this is the outer area that I'm in right now. We're at 78 degrees. Okay, so essentially what we have here, just to start from the top, this is a touchscreen graphic user interface. In order to toggle through and make your necessary adjustments to each parameter, what you want to do first is press set, and you want to hold it for about 2 seconds. And actually 1 second does it enough. So just holding it for about a second does the trick. So what you do, you hit the right or left to go to control. Now, if you want to increase or decrease the number value, you go up and down. So for example, if you want to increase the wattage from this point here, you see how it's increasing? Well, I want to keep it at 480. So you see how it jumps from 400 to 600 to 630. You can actually go in by pressing this little gear right here down in the lower right hand corner. You go there. Okay. And so we're going to go into the settings. There we go. And right there, as you already see it, okay, it's at 480. And you can increase or decrease that value. And hold on, let me show you. There we go. So we back out, and you can change this, but I'm going based off of the parameters, that's on the details that comes with the lighting. So I'm going to put that back at 480. And I apologize for the vision, I'm trying to get that right so you can be able to see it. Okay, 480. And then we save it. If I can just get this. All right, we got saved down here in the lower right hand corner. Okay, so we got that saved. And you do the same thing. Well, basically, let me go back to settings. So this, by controlling it from here, we're going to talk about the percentages as well. I have it set from 0 at the minimum all the way to 100%. And let's say that you're using both A and zone B. Okay, you're using both zone A and zone B, but zone B has a different wattage, meaning it's a different light. Unfortunately, I didn't see a way to where you can be able to have on zone B a different wattage selected. So if we go back to the main menu, you see how it has 480 watts for both A and B. That's just what it is. So that I have yet to figure out a way, and I looked in the instructions as well. So if anybody knows any different, let me know. But we can also move forward by toggling through. And here, this is our on and off times. So on this particular grow space, I have it on a 12-hour setup. So at 1:40 a.m., the lights will turn on. And then at 1:40 p.m., which is the 1340 or Army time, it'll turn off. Make sure that, got to put that back at 1:40. Make sure that these boxes right here are checked, because if you have it on an X, it will not take effect. So word to the wise there. And same thing going here into column B. I don't need this particular, I'm not using column B for this particular unit. So there's no need for me to have it on and off. And that's why you see X's there, because it's not in use, okay? Also, you can be able to adjust your time parameter, meaning as far as for the time of day, right here. And you can be able to make those adjustments by pressing up or down, okay? And also, you can change your measurement as far as in Fahrenheit or Celsius right here. But you just have to make sure that this is highlighted red by pressing set, because if you turn off the setting, it's not going to adjust. You can't move anywhere. So you have to press set, and it comes back to where it left off. All right, and we'll go here. Wait. And so they also have the option of automatic and manual. I keep mine on automatic because I want everything, and I mean everything, to be automated. This particular unit also has a Bluetooth app available as well, which we'll get into. I was just setting my units back to Fahrenheit. And now we're going to talk about briefly the sunrise and the sunset effect. So we're going to go into here by going into the menu. So let's go back for a moment. So in order for us to get to the sunrise and sunset effect, we're going to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to turn off this flash here. There we go. I think that's a little bit better so it doesn't present a glare. So we're going to go into the settings by hitting this gear in the lower right hand corner. We're going to go into the sunrise sunset down there. So the way I have it set up for group A, for my FCE 4800 light from Mars Hydro, I have it so that it takes about 8 minutes. If I can just get this to show. There we go. There we go. So we're going to press set again to make necessary changes. Or actually, you don't even need to do that here. You just press your thumb right there. You see how it highlights red. And you can use the numeric values to change here. So you can change it to where if you want it to take, for example, for the lights to be fully illuminated within a certain time frame, you can set it to whether it's 5 minutes. I have it set to 8 minutes. Some people have it set for 45 minutes, so it's a very long, gradual stretch, just like for the sun to come up. But with sunrise, it takes only several minutes for our eyes to visually see the sun coming up over the horizon. So that's why I have it set for 8 minutes, because I think that's a good number for the lights and the photons to fully reach their peak, as it were. And that way, the plants will be able to start working and taking in the light in order to photosynthesize and, take that energy in to make their, just so they can be able to sustain. All right. And the same way over here, you want to make sure after you put in your parameter or your numeric parameter, you want to make sure you activate it. You don't want to have it on disabled like I have here on group B, because I don't need group B, as I mentioned before. So just make sure that this is highlighted yellow. If I can just get that to show a little bit more clear. There we go. You want to make sure it's showing as active. And then after you've pressed active, you want to press save, and then it goes back to the menu settings that you have here. Another important feature that you want to have, say for example, that you don't want, okay, let me go back again. Say for example that you don't want this showing 24/7 like when you walk into your grow space, because I surely don't, because what happens is, believe it or not, even though that the lighting is not bright, it does burn into your LCD screen, when it turns off. So to make sure that doesn't happen and just, preserve a little bit of energy, what you want to do is go into screen off, and you want to check screen off, so that about after 5 minutes of it just idling, between 3 to 5 minutes, I believe, it is going to turn off. So that's how you use that. Now what we're going to do is get into more so of the Bluetooth functionality. And so the first thing we want to do is you want to download the necessary app from the Google Play Store, or if you have an iPhone device, you would be using your Apple Support Play Store or what have you. So let's get into that now. Okay, so I have my Google Play Store app icon right here. We're going to go into that. And the name of the app, when you look at it on the instructions here on your manual, you'll type in Tuya is the name of the app, Tuya, and it's Tuya Smart. It should take me there. So I've already installed it, so I'm going to go ahead and just open it up. But what you would essentially do, you definitely need to install the app, so that way you have the ability, if you are not at your grow location, you need to have your Bluetooth on in order to operate this, because this unit is Bluetooth compatible. So if you want to be able to control your lights from afar, you definitely need to download this app. So I'm going to open the app now. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to back up a bit. Okay. So as you see, I've already named both of my units. We have one I have named grogariousgames, which controls my nursery area, which is from seedling into the veg state. And then I have another tent which controls majority veg into flower. So if we go there, right, you see how it's opening, and here again we have channel A, channel B. It's the same, it's just a different name, channel. And let me turn on the light so you can see. And then it has zone A. So channel A is zone A. Channel B is zone B. Right now we're on channel A. And for this particular setup, since we are currently in veg, the lights need to be on a little bit longer. I have the lights coming on like at around 7:40 p.m. and they turn off at 1:40 p.m. in the afternoon. So that's how I set it up. I have like a 18 hours on, 6 hours off essentially. Now, as far as for the output power, by them being in veg, I only have the power at 25%. Okay. And I also need to change this wattage here. Well, actually, no. The wattage is based on the amount of power output. So it automatically tells you essentially how much wattage there is being pulled. And the reason that I have it set for only 25% power is because of utilizing, and I'll show you in just a moment what I'm referring to here. This little bad little mama right here in front of us is a PAR sensor. This PAR sensor goes in conjunction with the Vabira. It is the Vabira VBR-200. Now, I did a video a couple of weeks ago basically breaking down the functionality of this instrument here. This instrument has the ability of measuring your PAR sensors, which is your photoactive radiation coming from your light source. This is very important for those that are looking to dial in the numbers properly so that your plants get the correct amount of illumination. Because if you go too high, meaning if you have the wattage at a certain measurement or at a certain strength, that may be too much for the plants. Because yes, too much light focused in on them, it could kill the plant off, and we don't want that. It could dry the soil. So this is why we need measurements, proper measurements, to emulate what nature gives plants naturally. This is where these instruments from Vabira comes in, and it's very vital to the success and the cultivation and harvesting of your plants to get these numbers dialed in. So this is one method that I use to so I can be able to adjust my lights in the height. I don't just go according to the whole rule of thumb that everybody goes to. Oh, 24 to 12 inches is fine, you know, as far as in adjusting your lights. That's not necessarily true, because if you have it, again, if you have your light, if it has a dial on it, you know, as far as to adjust the power, you don't want that running at 100% when your plants are only in seedling stages. Definitely not. But we'll get more into the VBR-200 in just a moment. But I wanted to mainly focus for right now here on the Bluetooth capability. So after you have installed the app, you want to essentially just you want to find the you want to turn on your, let's go here, one moment. Okay. All right, so what you want to do again is go down in here to the little gear that you see, press the gear, and this is where you will pair this device to your phone. So the first thing that you want to do is, I want to turn off my Bluetooth so I can show you. Actually, it's already off. So we want to press pair. All right. So we press the button here, pair. So now it's starting to search. And then we go here. Give it a moment. We're going to scroll. And you see this part here, TY, that stands for Tuya. And when you do that, you're going to go back here. And since mine is already connected, I already have them set up, what you're going to do essentially, it's going to be a little search bar going here to detect your new unit, your C200. It's going to be detecting it. So you're going to allow it to run its course here at the main screen here. And in order to do that, you got to go to where it says add, add a device. Okay, so make sure you press add a device, but it's all here in your instruction manual. All of that is here. So you're not going to be lost, but this is basically just to show you the simplicity of setting up your very own light simulation to where it can emulate or simulate that of the sunrise and sunset effect. And not only that, you know, just going back here a bit, it gives you other parameters as well, as far as your temperatures, like I say, and you can control two different grow spaces, whether if you're in full flower or if you're in seedling to the veg state. You can control two different locations on one unit, which to me is amazing. So now that we have this part out of the way, I'm going to show you how to get this mounted. Okay, so in front of us we have the Vabira VBR-C200 master controller, and as you see, it's currently mounted to the wall. We are going to remove this master controller from the wall now, and this will leave remaining the brackets. So let's get started. Alright, so as you can see here, there is just a metallic bracket here. This is the bracket that comes along with the master controller and all the necessary wiring that's needed when you make your purchase. So we're going to remove this. Alright, and this leaves us with two nails. Now these nails that I actually used to mount this on the wall was only temporary. I was kind of back and forth as to whether or not even if I wanted to use the wall anchors along with these screws, but it's a rather simple process, you know, and I'd rather have something more secure than just having these nails along with the bracket just holding on ever so flimsy like so, and then it falls off. And you know, I don't want the display screen to be broken and just run into issues. So I'd rather just solidify by doing the work, you know, do it right the first time and just be done with it. Even though it's not the first time, I'm actually going back, so this will be attempt number 2 to actually do this the right way. but I'd rather do it now than in the future if anything was to happen to the master controller. So first thing that we're going to do is we are going to use our, as I mentioned, you're going to need an electric drill with a drill bit close to the size of this actual the screws that you see here, because we will be drilling essentially in this area and in this area here. So let's get started on that now. Alright, so now that we have the nails removed, I will be using my drill as so seen here. And again. Alright, just by looking at it, I can see I'm going to need to step it up as far as for the drill bit, so I'm going to go to a larger size. Alright, that's one. I need to get to the next one now. Alright, so we got the holes a bit bigger. The main thing to this game here is just hand control and, you know, the throttle control when you're pressing the drill, because you don't want your drill bit all over the place. You want to keep it steady, okay? You want to keep that steady. So next up, I'm just going to use this Phillips head to just make sure that the hole is prominent, you know, that it's open. So alright, so now this is where we're going to use the rubber mallet. Alright, so with our pre-drill holes already established, we're going to use one of these anchor wall mounts right here, and we are going to just lightly try to use our rubber mallet to insert. Alright, take a couple of notches, a couple of hits. Alright, so I think we're in good shape there. Okay. I had to take down my AC Infinity master controller as well, because I didn't want that to hit the ground. So that's why you saw my arm there for a moment. So we're gonna put in the second one now. Alright. Alright, so now that we have the wall anchors in place, what we'll do next, I'm gonna head and put this bracket on now. And I'll need my drill for that, along with a Phillips head drill bit. Alright, we're gonna start with the right one first. Make sure. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put the screw inside, and then we're gonna screw it in. Actually, we gotta wait a moment, because we need the bracket to also be in place as well. So I'm gonna start it off by a quick little hand screw, since I don't have a cameraman, obviously, and I'm working in a very bit of a confined area. But I really just wanted to kind of take out the time to show you all the simplicity to doing this. But you know, you just need a couple of tools and you're pretty much good to go. So now we're gonna drill it in. And so right when you're almost finished with the screw in, alright, you want to make sure that the other part is in place. That's why you see me holding it like so, right? Alright, and we are nearly complete. Okay. And honestly, this didn't take me any more than about less than 5 minutes, if that. But this is just, again, I wanted to do this because I wanted to ensure that I won't have any problems in the future with mounting and unmounting, you know, the master controller, if need be. Alright, looks like we're looking pretty good. Alright, that should hold. And actually, that's very firm, not going anywhere. Alright, and so next, we're going to put the master controller atop by sliding it from the top down to the bottom. Okay. All right, just a moment. I had to take down my my poster there really quick to make sure I efficiently have this slid on properly. Okay, and there you have it. All right, and there you go. We have a fully mounted VBR C200 from Vabira, looking very nice, and I encourage you all to do the same. Reason being is because you honestly, I don't really recommend using these thumbtacks. They work, they will work, but at the same time, there's risk involved using this, and I can say that from experience. Just the flimsiness from trying to make sure that this little piece there stays put. So again, I would go ahead and just follow the easy instructions that I've mentioned just now. Again, you need a drill, you need a rubber mallet or a hammer, and a stud finder if you have one. So other than that, you are good to go. All right? Yes, sir. All right, for those that may have seen my video from about a couple of weeks ago, I introduced this VBR 200 CO2 meter for its usage, but I wanted to kind of reintroduce it, elaborate a bit on it a bit more. Reason being is because this one instrument does a lot, which is why I have the necessary instruments needed so that you can be able to see the data before you hear on the screen. So first thing we're going to do here now, we're going to power it up. And as you can see, power it all the way up real quick, like actually. So we're first going to get into the more easier things, which is talking about humidity. So humidity is definitely an important part of the growth of any plant, whether it's a little or a lot. You want to have some sort of humidity in the room, especially when they're in there, and I'm referring to, in regards to this conversation, referring mainly more so to cannabis, right? So we have here the Humiture sensor, which is this right here. You plug it into this 3.5 like millimeter jack, you put it in here, and then you'll be able to see both the humidity as well as the temperature in the room. So as I stated before, it was around 78 degrees. It went up by a degree from what it looks like to around 79 with a current humidity. And again, that's just in this space alone. I'm not referring to any tent or any grow space, just in the room that I am occupying here at the moment inside of grogariousgames. The VPD, which is like your vapor dispersal, just here in this room alone is pretty good for the lights being off at the current. These are the numbers essentially that you want to have. Going more further into detail, this here is the CO2 sensor. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and plug this sensor in now, because also along with your humidity, you also want to know what your CO2 or your carbon dioxide is looking like, because the more CO2 that you have, the better growth rate and the better returns in yield you'll have. That's why you see certain individuals, when they're growing in an indoor grow space, they'll buy those bags of it could be like I guess like types of fungus in a bag or something like that. I don't use it personally because my numbers as far as for CO2, they're pretty good. And you want to have it, in the flowering phase. I believe, hold on, I'll tell you in just a minute. Let me just get this untangled here. All right, so as you see it here, this is the current data that I have here in the flowering tent. I'm not going to actually open it up because they're currently in their rest mode right now. But the numbers essentially are over 800, and anytime that you're in flower, you want to have it at 800 to around 1400 ppm or parts per million. So we're looking pretty good, and like I say, the lights are turned off and we're still in the good numbers. As long as it stays in the 800, I'm happy with that. And it does flux. It does, well, I'm sorry, it does fluctuate, so we have to keep that in mind. And you can kind of see it's dropping here and there, what have you. And let's see, and that is due to the fact when we go here to my AC Infinity, I'm going to have to make some adjustments there to the actual T4 inline fan. Just a second. A bit warm in here right now at 79 degrees inside of the tent. The fan just went off, so the CO2 should be bumping up. But if the fan is turning on, that will essentially take the CO2 away. So I'm going to actually make some fine-tune adjustments so that the fan does not come on as much, because I want to keep the CO2 in, especially, I want to keep it inside of the tent. I don't want it to actually come out of the tent, because that's what helps create bigger yields there. Okay, and as I mentioned earlier, this particular sensor here is your PAR sensor, or your photoactive radiation sensor. Essentially what it does, it measures your PPFDs, or what is called your photosynthetically active photon flux density. And this is measured in micromoles, which you see that that UMOL, and then in parentheses, it's a forward slash, so M to the second power times 5. So there's not too much light in here right now, because if we're going to base it on that light source, which is essentially this lamp right here, that is picking up very low amounts of lumen, or illumination. Not that much going on, but for the sake of showing you the measurements, it's not even picking up any DLI. That's how low the active photon radiation is coming from that light source. Now, if hypothetically speaking, the lights in our grow space were to be on, you would see this PPFD here would be somewhere in the range of around the 1100, 1200 marker, which is perfect if you are in your flowering phase, meaning if your girls are in flower. If they are not in flower, you obviously want to say, for example, if they're in the seedling to vegetative state, you want to have the PPFD numbers looking anywhere between 100 to maybe 300, depending on the wattage of your light source. Okay, so that's exactly why I say, again, we do not want to just go according to the rule of thumb that people do of just saying, oh, lower your light 12 to 24 inches from where the plant is, and that shouldn't hurt your plant. That's not necessarily true, because you don't really have any kind of data backing up just the fact of that you're measuring the height distance. And if you have, again, the light source at 100%, then you're going to land up burning your seedlings. And I just don't want that to happen to individuals who went through the entire process of germinating your seeds. You have your medium, if it's soil, what have you, you have the cocoa core, whatever, you have all that ready to go, and then your lights are too high. This is why I say save yourself some time, do a little bit of homework. This is a very simple process to understand when it comes to horticulture, and it's one of the ones I have to say that's more so honestly left out, where I don't see too many individuals backing up their data as to showing, as to what you could be receiving in your yield, or what you're going to get back, especially if you're putting, a whole lot of money into your electric bill. And really, it shouldn't be too much, again, depending on the wattage. But I want to make sure that every photon is not going to waste when it comes to my, plants. And lastly, what I just wanted to introduce again, from Vabira lights, they also have a QR code reader here, a QR, if I can get it focused, from Vabira, that shows you how to use this telescopic rod. It does extend out. For the sake of the video, I'm not going to worry about trying to extend it, since I only have, holding the camera with one and trying to use the other hand. But this does extend out. This part does swivel. It does go around in a circle. And basically what you do here is, on the underside of here, there is it's a part which you can be able to screw this in, right? You just screw it on, and then you would extend the rod out to be able to check your photoactive radiation coming from your light source. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap that up, because I know this video has been quite extensive, but I felt that it was necessary to kind of just go through the basic operations of utilizing these instruments. I will tell you again, when you first unbox this, to please make sure you use your wall plug-in, your power outlet, to plug this in and calibrate your Vabira VBR-200. That's the first thing that you want to do, is calibrate this, okay? So I hope everyone has a great weekend and happy Friday. Be good to one another. Yo, grow good, smoke good, and yo, be the best that you can be, all right? I'll talk to you later. Peace.